From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, June the 14th, 2018. The United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution yesterday evening condemning Israel for its actions at the Gaza security fence. The resolution, proposed by Algeria and Turkey and backed by the Arab League, accuses Israel of excessive and indiscriminate force at the fence and makes no mention of terror group Hamas. It passed with 120 votes for, 8 against, including the United States, and 45 abstentions. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley had proposed an amendment to the resolution condemning Hamas, which initially passed with 62 for the amendment, 58 against, and 42 abstaining. However, UNGA President Miroslav Lajcak ruled that a two-thirds majority was needed for an amendment to be added to a draft resolution. Haley appealed that decision. Her appeal was put to a vote, which failed to pass, and so the resolution went to the floor without the amendment. Haley had strongly criticized the resolution at the UNGA yesterday.
The nature of this resolution clearly demonstrates that politics is driving the day. It is totally one-sided. It makes not one mention of Hamas, who routinely initiates violence in Gaza. Such one-sided resolutions at the UN do nothing to advance peace between Israel and the Palestinians. In fact, this resolution makes peace less possible. It feeds a narrative to the desperate people of Gaza that their leaders are not responsible for their predicament. It stokes hatred. It sacrifices honesty, accuracy, compromise, and reconciliation in favor of the advancement of a narrow political agenda. If we were being honest, we would acknowledge that there are no perfect actors on either side of this conflict. But it does no one any good to pretend that all the blame lies on one side. At what point will the UN actually hold accountable those who are in charge of Gaza and running it into the ground?
Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, thanked Haley for her efforts and for trying to push the amendment through. He wrote on social media, while procedural maneuvers were used to block it, we're proud that by working with the Americans and our friends around the world, a majority of nations in the UN voted for the first time to condemn the terrorists of Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed his gratitude for Haley's strong statement, exposing, he said, the hypocrisy of the UN's bias against Israel. Pro-Israel lobby AIPAC thanked Haley and called the resolution outrageous and dangerous. B'nai B'rith International praised Haley as well and said the global community must acknowledge that Hamas and Islamic Jihad are the true threat to Israeli and Palestinian lives alike. Resolutions adopted by the UN General Assembly are largely symbolic and non-binding. White House Special Advisor Jared Kushner and U.S. Representative for International Negotiations Jason Greenblatt are confirmed to be returning to Israel next week to discuss a U.S. peace initiative, making stops in Egypt and Saudi Arabia as well. Prime Minister Netanyahu said he looked forward to meeting with the two and with U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman to discuss ways to advance peace and to discuss the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The IDF today targeted terror infrastructure in Gaza, striking a preparation area that was being used by a terror cell to make incendiary balloons. These balloons, as well as kites, have incendiary devices or explosives attached to them and have been sent over the Gaza security fence into Israel for the last few weeks, igniting fires in southern Israel and causing massive damage. Earlier today, the IDF fired a warning shot at Palestinians who were launching such a balloon in order to scare them off. There were no injuries reported. There were clashes, though, today at the fence, and the Gaza Health Ministry reported that one Palestinian was shot and later died of his injuries. Tomorrow, large riots are expected at the fence as Muslims observe Eid al-Fitr, a celebration marking the end of the holy Muslim month of Ramadan. Members of a group that send such inflammatory kites into Israel threatened to fly 5,000 kites over the fence tomorrow, even deeper into Israeli territory. And in the West Bank today, border police officers arrested a Palestinian man who was trying to enter the tomb of the patriarchs in Hebron with a knife. The man had aroused their suspicion during a security check where he reportedly dropped a blade on the ground and tried to hide it under his foot. He was taken for questioning. And Prime Minister Netanyahu today met with Indonesia's Sheikh Yahya Khalil Stakuf in Jerusalem. Stakuf leads the largest Sunni Muslim movement in the world. Netanyahu told the sheikh that Muslim nations are getting closer to Israel because of its strong technology and in the common struggle against Iran and the Islamic State terror group. Last night, Netanyahu met with U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen in Jerusalem, reaffirming the strong connection and cooperation between the U.S. and Israel.
Welcome, and I'm glad we're cooperating on Homeland Security and everything.
That's right. So many things. We so value your partnership, so thank you.
Well, I can say that we have no greater ally than the United States. That's clear.
Well, Germany approved a major deal to lease Israeli UAVs, unmanned aircraft. The $1.2 billion deal was approved by Germany's Parliamentary Budget Committee yesterday for the military lease of Israeli-made Heron TP drones. Prime Minister Netanyahu lauded the deal, calling it a great contribution to the Israeli security industry and to Israel's economy. He said the giant deal is an expression of the strategic partnership between Germany and Israel. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, June the 14th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study with Rabbi Mordechai Becker. At 8, it's the premiere of a brand new series here on JBS, Outspoken with Brooke Goldstein. A candid look at the critical issues of the day. Tonight, Brooke speaks with students fighting for Israel on American college campuses. At 8:30 tonight, Israeli film producer, director, screenwriter, and actor Avi Nesher speaks with Eric Goldman on Jewish Cinematheque. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with CEO of the Institute for Monitoring Peace and Cultural Tolerance in School Education in Israel, Marcus Sheff, on L'chaim. At 10, Professor of Politics Ehud Manor talks about his biography of former Israeli Foreign Affairs Minister Yigal Allon. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's the ILTV program, The Debka File. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, June the 14th, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.